Okay, Raiders, I'm sorry. There's a chatter in the chat, and I'm just gonna try and really draw things out really slowly. Really fucking slowly. Okay. So political spectrum is fine. Okay. Is it chatbot AI? Yeah. Yep. Am I cancelled for using AI? No jokes. But yeah, it is. It's a funny one. It's okay, so fascism's here, right? Republican Party's here, right? Democrats here. I just do it normal, right? I'm just doing it normal. And then you have I'll just draw it a bit closer together. So this will be social democracy, okay. So this is all liberalism, right? I mean, technically people would say that fascism isn't liberal, but it can exist under a liberal framework, especially right now, right? So this is liberalism. So this is like private property, right? This is like police. This is like reformism, right? What did you call it? I mean, you just called it fucking. Awesome, so funny. Yeah, we're actually watching a video. Oh, we watched a video earlier about yin yang. So it's always handy whenever I have a yin yang emote.
Racist, sexist, Republican. These words are virtually interchangeable.
No, Republicans believe in the liberal economic system. That's just what it is. They believe in private property. They believe in the state, right? Liberalism is the state. Okay, maybe that's even easier. Okay, if a country has a state, it is liberal. The state is a liberal idea. Okay, are we tracking? Oh, is everybody tracking? Okay. Now, let me finish the rest of the chart, okay? So, now this is where it gets kind of dicey, okay? So I'm going to put democratic socialism here. Okay, socialism, fucking communism, and then anarchism, okay? Now, what you're asking, right, is you think that the USSR was communist, and that's where you're wrong. The USSR was like here, unironically. USSR. Lenin agrees. Marx would agree. Everybody would agree. If you ask anyone that is interested in politics, in far left politics, everyone agrees that the USSR was state capitalist. They had a state. They didn't, like, private property was treated differently. It was more, they had more nationalized interests, right? They had planned economy, just like the war economy in America, right? This I could technically also put World War II America. Is this making sense? Is Cuba further to the left? Yeah, so Cuba would be maybe like here. Like the weird thing is, so like, because Cuba has social democracy in the sense that like they have like food rations, like food is a guarantee and whatnot. They still have a like the thing is what I was the main conversation was that socialism has to be international. So technically, the mode of production under Cuba can't be socialism, but and I don't know too much about how many worker co-ops are in Cuba. So I would put Cuba around the social democracy part, even though I know that Cuba would want to move further, but Cuba's been genocided for the last 70 years, still to this very day. So both the global economy and the active genocide of the population sort of prevents, I mean, generally any socialist movement from moving more to the left. Private sector, so it's mixed economy, yeah. All sanctions and embargoes, yeah. Sorry, Christopher, you said not all people have fair values and care for fellow human beings due to this communism can't. No. No. I mean, like, you're referring to like the cultural zeitgeist that is liberalism makes communism not exist in our current world. That's what you're talking about, right? Because of I say zeitgeist, but really I just mean hegemony, right? Because liberal states influence the populations of the world through violence. Can you go further left than anarchism on the far? No. Anarchists have the deepest literature. Like, anarchists are more well read than communists. The thing is that there's a lot of hatred between anarchists and communists. I'm technically an ancom though. Right? This is where I am. Because I mean I still need to start like drawing them out, right? Because apparently people are confused on what the difference is. Human nature isn't greed. You know which theory is about it. Human nature isn't when human nature is like connection to a larger whole, universality, right? It's not greed is a product of our social conditioning. That is, we are praising instead of shaming greed, we promote it, and so we have an extremely biased outlook on as to what human nature is. We're not picking humans up from the void and from a vacuum and then being like, okay, will they just be greedy? No, it is extremely conditional.
A postmodern radical neo-Marxist.
So there is nothing more radical and revolutionary than anarchism. Correct. Like, I mean, we covered this like 2 days. We covered anarchism 2 days ago. You maybe missed it, but I mean, I'll slightly elaborate on this since we're just drawing it up. I'm just making sure that I'm not missing any any messages from you guys. So like Christopher's like, there's always someone that'll too ambitious who will try to bend the rules and enrich themselves. Now, Christopher, you're ignoring the possibility of creating a system in which it is impossible for people to enrich themselves and bend the rules, right? The idea of abolishing abolishing liberalism, and personally, I think of even abolishing market socialism, is that with I hate markets as a concept. And by that, I mean money that can be hoarded infinitely. And it's not necessarily that that's markets, right? If you have a voucher system, people would call that markets. But it's not markets as historically established, right? Markets, we all know money doesn't get destroyed under a market economy. Like a voucher, right? Like, is when you go to do you have time zone where you are? Is time zone an American phenomena too? Or, you play the little games, you get the little tickets, you go buy a prize and they just like destroy the tickets? That's not I mean, like, I wouldn't call that a market. I wouldn't call that a market. Not to divide everything is equal. No. That is not it. So democratic social, let's go slow, right? Democratic socialism is like workplace democracy. Okay, so workers owning the means of production. So anything like Jeremy Corbyn was a democratic socialist because he wanted to use the state to subsidize the workers, in that they could buy the company, right? So basically, if a company was going to sell to a larger umbrella company, the company first had to offer themselves to the workers, and the state was going to pay for it, right? And so that is a democratic socialist policy
and the Lord yoinketh away.
That the state could technically pull off if you voted in a DemSoc. Jeremy Corbyn instead got outvoted by fucking Boris Johnson and did Brexit. So you got Brexit instead of that. One thing that irks you about this drawing is by drawing communism as dangerous as the GOP.
I got you, homie.
Thank you for the gift sub. This isn't dangerous. I'm literally labeling myself as here. This isn't a... Okay, so here's the thing, right? I'm lying to you. This entire chart is a lie. I guess this is the time where I bring up I reveal the true secrets of the world. Okay. You believe in this? You believe in Fishhook Theory. No, sorry, no. You believe in horseshoe theory. This is a fishhook. You believe in you think that there's two extremes. This is wrong. Right? It's a fishhook. It's this. The far right, like the far right agree with the centrists. And by the centrists, I'm referring to social democracy. The far right just want social democracy for their ethnicity. So they want free housing for white people. They want healthcare for white or Christian people. Whatever type of brand of fascism you got. That's what the far right wants locked down, but just for them, not for you. They want to kick everyone out, right? Destroy the immigration. Whereas centrists are like, we can have, you know, they don't have a class analysis, so they still want a two-tiered system, right? They want free healthcare, but they also want paid healthcare. So then the fucking, you know, you basically have a first and second class citizens, right? Whereas anything on the left wants to not have second class citizens, right? And so with workplace democracy, right, another democratic socialist policy would be decommodification. So basically, instead of like social democracy, right, this has like free healthcare and private healthcare, or free education and private education, or free public housing and private housing, right? Whereas anything on the left, right, outside of the liberal state bullshit, this would just be a guarantee, right? So this is where it gets into like human rights, sort of leans into here. Does this make sense? Like, this is all actual, like, we believe in human rights actually, and we actually want to achieve that for all. Whereas social democracy is like, you can get your shitty healthcare, you can get your plastic fillings in your teeth, or you can get ceramic fillings in your teeth. Am I tracking? What if you say cheaper healthcare for an American people? Is that fascism? No. Like, okay, within regards to the Fishhook Theory, right? This isn't saying that centrists and the far right are the same. It's just that they align with one another, right? Like if you and the problem is, right, with centrists, right? If you're talking about existing within a liberal influence, right? This liberal influence. For use a different color. I'm trying to. If you live in a liberal influence, then that means that anything that you get will always has the chance to move right, because capital can always lobby the state. So like once you create a whole bunch of free healthcare or free education or whatever, they can reprivatize it, recommodify it. And so that's why you want to decommodify it. Make sure it's a guarantee. Anyway, and so like the idea. Oh wait, what is? I was workplace democracy. Oh yeah, I didn't put like decommodification. Decommodification. Does that make sense? DC. Because this is all in the land of commodity. Like commodification means something to be made only to be sold on the market. Commodity. You get it. And then we still haven't moved. I mean, I'm trying to explain this before I even get to this, because you're asking about what even is, you know, if you think that capitalism is communism, then you're sort of doing the meme that I have right here, right? And we're trying to avoid this. Hoarding doesn't make sense, you know. So the economic structure under all of this area wouldn't be incentivized for greed. So like, again, like you wouldn't have an infinitely hoardable value, or like a currency value. Instead you would have like libraries. Let's just start with libraries, right? What is imagine a library but for cars, or a library for pillows, or a library for, you know, just whatever, computer monitors, microphones, lawnmowers, I don't know, scissors, you know, you know, everybody don't understand the concept of a library. But as soon as you start to bring in other things, like, oh, I don't know. Like that, and that's one of many ways that you know we can divvy out stuff. Right? Everyone has a shovel. Every single person in the fucking entirety of the world has a shovel.
And the Lord yoinketh away.
Whereas, like, I use shovels not very often. I'm not really digging holes out here. Yet I have shovel. Why is that? Why is that? Why do I have shovels yet no dig hole? Very often. Oh, sorry, like very rarely would I ever.
The Lord yoinketh away.
Learned my new countries reached. Oh yeah, so basically with socialism, right? It would be egalitarianism and scarcity. So since the 1970s, right? Since the 1970s, we had enough. Really shitty 1970s. We had enough industrialization that we can feed everybody, house everybody, clothe everybody, give everyone electricity, whatever the fuck the case may be. Like, we have the technology. We, like, if we were to internationally do like a humanitarian fucking logistical program, right? Like the aid programs that are right now, they only do that for profit, right? There's a good Ugopnik video that talks about when they cut the aid for Haiti. Straight up, it was just because as soon as it became unprofitable to do so, they cut the aid. This is during the Bill Clinton era. Okay, but basically, so when I say scarcity under socialism, it would be more so like, again, like the latest 66090 Ti graphics card that are coming out next year, right? That is going to be limited, and so that's why you're going to have like some other deviation away from the market, right? When it comes to like vouchers, or I mean, again, we have a society, we can democratically figure out what the fuck is better than even vouchers. And so this is where, I guess, before I go any further and talk about communism, I can go into the whole like, what's the, pick another color. Where does this go? What is the connection here? And again, like this is all me theory crafting type shit. Okay, this isn't all entirely accurate. I sort of talk like I know everything and I'm right about everything, but I'm sure people would disagree with me on a lot of this stuff. Okay, but this is the dictatorship of the proletariat. Okay, so basically the state normally works for capital, right? Whoever owns private property, PP, okay, they own the state because the state was made for, you know, to defend private property. And so once you start to have workplace democracy, the workers owning the means of production instead of private ownership, then the state will, instead of, you know, giving private property owners their lobbying power and whatnot, the state will slowly start to have to be, it's literally forced, because the state always wants the economy to grow. They're somewhat like have their hands tied and they have to work for the workers. And so then you start to have like the workers dictating, instead of the capitalists, because right now we're living under the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. That's like a whole. I mean, I wonder if that even has a wiki page. Do you think that has a wiki page? Dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. Fuck, now I gotta spell bourgeoisie. Oh, auto fucking searched it. Okay, so it has dictatorship of the proletariat, but it doesn't have dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. See, the term, the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie is... So it is here. Okay, it's actually mentioned a lot. Wait. Oh, and it just goes to the capitalist state. So this is the world we live under, the capitalist state, part of a series of capitalism. Capitalist state is a state in the function, form, organization takes within capitalist socioeconomic systems. The concept of the interchangeable with the concept of the modern state. Blah blah blah. You get it. Accumulation of capital, business enterprise, right? This is generally like the schools, right? When we're talking about the ideological state apparatus and whatnot, right? They have schools produce workers that, even in business and law, only really know about private property. They don't know about worker co-ops, because private property is the bread and butter of the state right now, right? It's the liberal hegemony. Am I making sense? I love how like there's no audio. Oh, sorry, no music or whatever the fuck. One for the history books. Just reading chat. It's very hard to achieve because it requires many countries to agree. I mean, it's not even the countries have to agree. It's that the workers have to be conscious, right? We're all waiting for AI. Like we're all waiting for when the AI is going to be conscious. Yet we should be really curious about when the workers will be conscious. To me, it makes sense. Okay. Anyway, so where was I? Dictatorship of the proletariat, and so slowly, right? Because of instead of being a two-tiered system where you have free healthcare and free education, and then private healthcare, private education, right? And if everything is just a guarantee, then that means that it'll slowly wither the class distinctions, because this will perpetuate. You know, like when you go to private school, they're probably going to get networked into some higher positions within their friends, families, business structure, yada yada yada. Whereas if you go to free education, your friends are going to be poorer, the parents are going to be poorer. You're probably not going to work up that mobility ladder as much, even though it's all bullshit in relation to upward mobility. But you know, you have a percentage gain if you go to private institutions than you do free. And so basically, again, if there's no what do you call it? If you do try and limit the amount of separation of the classes, then the classes start to wither. Is the idea. Anyway, and then you have, I'll just get to the communism bit. So communism is, what is it? Egalitarianism and abundance, right? And so that's not rocket science. I feel like you can get that together, right? So instead of everybody living in a fucking apartment, maybe everybody's living in a fucking mansion. I don't know. I don't know. It's that's somewhat of the different. Like, it's still on the same track, right? Sorry, I'll read chat. Socialist countries who want to get to communism is directly near the leader. Well, the weird. I don't like the word leader, because you know what happens when you have a leader, a socialist state leader. They die. And then some fucking lib fuck comes in and controls from above. And so what you want is you want class consciousness. Right? Because it doesn't matter who is the leader. If they coup the leader, then like the next person that'll jump in will also be class conscious. Right? Does that make sense? So like basically I'm blaming Allende in that. Why didn't Allende just make everyone Allende? We are all I mean, they did try. Like, a lot of the workers were somewhat class conscious in the fact that they were working pretty much, I don't know if it's for free, but when the capital did capital strike, the workers still went to work the next day to perpetuate the economy whilst the coup was going on. Or like, not the coup, like the capital strike was going on. It was weird. But yeah, you still... Yeah, I mean, the thing with Chile is that they were killing the people as well. And that also impacted the class consciousness of the area because, you know, and they did that same thing in, Indonesia. They killed, 2 million people in Indonesia that were most likely class conscious. Right, we're talking about, 2 million people that were part of the Communist Party in Indonesia. But we just forget it. Don't worry about that. I know that happened, right? I just streamed that up. It's totally not fully documented at all. You agree with mass consciousness in the way leaders we say, yeah. So, anarchism is more of a philosophical. No, not a philosophical. It's more of it's instead of being you still have in anarchism you still have abundance, right? And by abundance, and scarcity, these are all organized. The thing is that this is all color. Can I pick this time? This is all organized. I mean, that looks like yellow as well, but is there really not that many colors in the rainbow? What about a teal? Can we get a teal? I swear there was more colors in the rainbow. What's my point? What was it going on about? Oh yeah, so from here, right? Everything leans into workplace democracy onwards. So everything here is going to be democratized, from the bottom up. So when people think oh, it's gonna be confusing or whatever, we already have organizations. They're just working from a top-down position rather than from, you know, it's, we already have systems. We don't need to reinvent the internet, for instance. The internet is already laid down. We just need to change it. Quick look into Cybersyn. Let's challenge. I mean, if anybody wants to look into less Cybersyn, they can. I think I was gonna make a Cybersyn playlist at some point too, but I mean, you know, we cover Cybersyn a lot. Leader is the point. A really cool one. Well, the leader is the people, right? System 5. What are you talking about, Arbelin? What are you on about? Wait, I didn't even get to the anarchism part. So how do I explain this without just playing the video? Everyone agrees upon their own. See, this is where it gets tricky, right? Because the far left is actually, I need to zoom in to type. Holy shit. It's a secret word that nobody knows and everybody hates. The word that nobody knows and everybody hates. You ready? That's as radical as you can get. And so ANCOMs would call themselves libertarian socialist or whatever the fuck, right? Kropotkin. You know the bread book? You know BreadTube? They're libertarians. Not really. Most of the people in the BreadTube are fucking just liberals, let's be real. But libertarian meaning everybody agrees upon the laws that they are going to be dictated by, right? So if you are if you break a rule and you never signed up with that rule, I mean there would be systems in place in which you would have already, you know, there wouldn't be that situation, right? Because as a society, we would figure out a way in which, basically, I perceive it as when you go through education and you go through the years of your life, you'll start to agree or disagree on certain things. Does that make sense? And then where you agree or disagree in certain things will determine like where in society you may be or be free, whatever the, if that makes sense. It would be very complex. So, and again, this is why it's very philosophical, and so that's why it's like on the back end, like we need to work on the egalitarianness before we get to the hyper stage. What have I missed? Or what haven't I explained? Or do you want me to pin the tail on the pin the country on the map? Democratic socialism seems hard enough. Well, again, like I mean, the Jeremy Corbyn thing sounds sort of based, in my opinion. The whole like if a company is going to sell, then the state is going to subsidize it. But again, like that would be getting a DemSoc in the state, which is pretty impossible, right? And Bernie Sanders only pushed through SocDem policies. You know, Bernie Sanders wasn't going to destroy private education. Right. Bernie Sanders was asking for like free stuff rather than guaranteed stuff. Even though it seems like it's the same, it's guaranteed as in like decommodified, right? Decommodified basic needs is the left. What's the harm in trying? I mean, they have tried. There has been democratically elected socialists in the past, right? Thomas Sankara, or I mean, there's fucking Fidel Castro. I get like it. It's just that within a larger global picture, it's more of the population needs to be class conscious. Also, this seems hard because like it could happen in relation to strike activity, like general strike activity. The thing is that to do that, you don't have. You need it again. It all comes down back to class consciousness. Salvador Allende on this. Would Salvador Allende? I mean, Salvador Allende would technically probably be in between the two, although he would probably because again, like I mean, and by that I mean his actions. Like his actions was trying to get the state attached to the workers through the use of cybersyn. Right? Like that's why wages were increasing. Like that's the thing too, is like within democratic socialism, you'd still like have like markets, right?
Work.
It's just that the market wouldn't be dictated. Oh, sorry, the market wouldn't dictate the state. The workers would. Right? And again, I don't like markets. Market's bad. I don't like, and that's why I don't like democratic socialism. Like, I'll make fun of democratic socialism, but I know that it's an integral part of. It's literally the dictatorship of the proletariat, in some way, or at least the attempt to trying to get the dictatorship of the proletariat. Like people want to shortcut it by like doing a Leninism, right? When Leninism didn't even work under. It wasn't like Russia wasn't even capitalist, so like. The whole Leninism like activity historically, like the birth of the USSR was they didn't have the industrialized automotive capacity to do even like this thing, this fucking thing right here, right? Because even though I'm calling this scarcity, it's still like basic needs for everyone: food, water, electricity, fucking gas, fucking this, that, or the other. We can do that since the 1970s, but the fucking USSR was in the 1917 or some shit. And so like one of the main, and so they were trying to industrialize to bring about this, but they didn't have that. I mean, especially when it comes to the global economy, that would have limited them as well. Have you realized that Trump trying to claim conquer Greenland, Canada? It's because it's country north. I mean, I was more looking at it in regards to like if they ever had to go to war with Russia. But yeah, I do know about the shipping lanes as well. Norway, Denmark, Sweden, SocDem? Yeah. SocDem. And Norway specifically, the state owns a piece of private property. So in some fucked up way, instead of the state working for the workers, the state works for itself in Norway. If that makes sense. Like, because again, if the state is invested in oil, it's going to try and reproduce oil. And by that, Norway is trying to do green renewable, like solars and, you know, wind power and whatnot. And they're selling oil to everybody else. From what I understand, like, Norway barely uses any of their oil. It's all exports. And that's just to make their country richer, as well as whoever invests in oil richer. Right? But is the imperialist core with exploded periphery meaningful in leftist theory? It's called unequal exchange and it's very important. What do you mean? Like, it's... I have a whole... There's like 10... There's like fucking so many... Look. Fuck it, I'll do it this way. So this is the economy playlist that I have, right? And like a bunch of these are about unequal exchange. Here's one. Technically, here's somewhat of another, but not really. Here's another unequal exchange. Here's another unequal exchange. So this why social democracy isn't good enough. This also talks about unequal exchange. How capitalism robs the world. This will talk about unequal exchange. Like unequal exchange is a very, very important thing to understand within like leftist theory. This, I don't know. A few of these also would. But...
And so on and so on and so on.
Oh, well, how rich people... Oh, sorry, how rich countries keep poor countries in poverty. I'm pretty sure this is more about the World Bank and shit, but it's still relevant to unequal exchange. So, like, it's not like leftist theory leaves that shit out, no. Is that Lenin's contribution, though? Imperialism, final stage of capitalism? I mean, yeah. Although technically we call it neo-colonialism now. Neo-colonialism is when child labor in the Congo gets our cobalt for us. Right? And then everyone acts like China's innocent, even though China's a beneficiary of Western hegemony in fucking Africa. You know, and then I'm shitting on China. Oh, don't do that. Oh. Wait. First, you want to see it work? I mean, like that, like a lot of places that considered, I don't know. Like people like Vietnam. I keep hearing good things about Vietnam, right? So like, if you were curious, maybe look into Vietnam. But Vietnam isn't itself. Like, if I was to put Vietnam on the list, I actually don't know their policies, but I'm assuming they're. I don't know. I still don't have many colors, do I? Pink? We don't have any pink. I think they're. I don't even know. I don't actually. I've heard that they have some. They have some workplace democracy type shit. It's just not exclusively. So there's
A postmodern radical neo-Marxist.
Vietnam is somewhat like in this position, but they're not entirely. They have a lot of co-ops, but they're not necessarily worker co-ops. As far as I've looked into it. You missed the link to that website that gave income by zip code. Oh, do I still have that up? Yeah, I do. You have to go to mobility map for the specific one. There. Hopefully, I'm just making sure. And so press 1 in chat if I've completely explained everything. 2 in chat if you have more to complain about or for me to explain. If everybody types 1, I would like just go back to the video we're watching. Need to confirm that I've covered everything. Vietnam has mixed market economy, yeah. And again, this is like my definition, my framework of like what I've gathered. I mean, I didn't really talk about the difference between the Democrats and Republicans, but basically, it would be really easy to do so, you know? The Democrats are like here, and the Republicans are like here. Does that make sense? They're the same. Although now that you're getting a bit more Trump, you know, maybe the Republicans are moving more to the right? But generally speaking, that shit ain't moving on the axis that it's supposed to be. One, but no, explain, just complain. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so if anybody ever wants to understand what the fuck I'm ever talking about, we can just pull up that timestamp.